fuck. I honestly don't know how else to start this review off. This was brutal. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB.
I'm gonna take the shovel and I'm gonna bury you.
I'm almost regretting doing this 12 days of Christmas because, damn, this was one of the hardest watches I've ever done. I'm talking about, I watched this for the very first time. The Star Wars Holiday Special. This is something that I always had heard about, and since I didn't really grow up with Star Wars, I didn't watch especially the original trilogy until I was well into my 20s. So watching this now, seeing how this came out in 1978, 1 year after the original film A New Hope was released. It's amazing that this special didn't single-handedly destroy the Star Wars franchise, the brand. It's amazing that Empire Strikes Back, as good as it is, was as successful as it was. That it wasn't just a complete bomb because people turned on the TV back in 1978 and said, fuck this. I would not have blamed them. I don't know how the franchise continued after this. This premiered on CBS. Thank God, well before I was alive. You see that when I saw, because this is free on YouTube, even Disney and Lucasfilms won't copyright strike the video on YouTube that's just sitting there and has been sitting there for like over 7 years. They're like, whatever, because we're not going to admit ownership. But I watched this and I saw that the runtime was like an hour and a half and thought, wow, this is almost the length of a normal Star Wars movie. So it's kind of cool to get like a little bonus, a little extra in this world, especially like the original trilogy with the original cast. And boy, like 5-10 minutes in, did I quickly realize that this ain't it. This is going to be some bullshit, and bullshit it was for the entire ride. At the very beginning, you see Chewbacca's family is waiting upon his return to their planet for Life Day. So they, it's like the usual thing that they celebrate, but he's late. He's not there. And you come to find out that Han Solo and Chewbacca, on their way there, got sort of chased down by the Empire. And even though that sounds decent as an idea, we don't spend really hardly any time with Chewbacca and Han Solo being chased by the Empire. You cut away to it maybe twice, if that. But that's not it. No, this entire time we are spending, or should I say wasting time, with the Chewbacca family, with the Wookiees, who they don't speak English, so they're just sort of like making noises and growling at each other, and we're supposed to know what they're talking about, but we don't. We're watching the little child Wookiee watching a bunch of people or whatever dance on this hologram board, and that plays on for entirely too long. You get a bunch of celebrity cameos that, because they're before my time, I don't really know them or care, besides B. Arthur, of course. But this was hard. The amount of singing, I couldn't believe how much singing. How this is practically a musical, and I know it's a holiday special. I'm not saying I was expecting a whole lot of like action or what you're used to from Star Wars. I don't even mind the fact that they tried something different. I don't even mind the fact that they tried something that was more geared towards children. I get it. Star Wars is, at the end of the day, as much as we want to complain about Star Wars and the stories and the characters and where things should go, it is ultimately for kids. But just because you're meant for kids doesn't mean you have to be dumb. doesn't have to be lowered to this level of dumbness. This was hard to watch, guys. I'm sorry. This is officially the worst Star Wars related thing I have ever seen. And you're talking to somebody who does not enjoy the sequel trilogy. You're talking to somebody who does not like the prequel movies. Fucking hell. This was garbage. Hot garbage. I don't care if you saw this as a kid, so it holds a special place in your heart. I would find it hard to believe that you sat through this entire thing, even as a child. I don't think children watched this and said, this is cool. No, they said, fuck Star Wars. Thankfully, maybe they watched Empire Strikes Back and it came back around. I couldn't get past the music and the dancing. I mean, there were so many points where I just went on my phone, or I just zoned out, or I just kept checking the time. And in other circumstances, like if this was another movie, or if this was a new release, a recent release, I would definitely use my walk out of theater, or in this case, just shut the movie off and don't have to finish it. I give myself 2 a year. I would have used one of those for this movie. That's how bad it was. The only reason why I didn't is just simply the fact that it is the Star Wars Holiday Special. Like I said, I'd heard about this. This has been talked about. This has been referenced. This has been said by a lot of things that I listen to and just the pop culture geekdom, that the Star Wars Holiday Special is infamous, and it is what it is. So I had to see it through. I had to see just how far they were willing to go. Once you started to see just the in-canon character cameos from Mark Hamill playing Luke Skywalker, you could tell this was in between shoots because he had a haircut, so his hair was super short, and he just didn't really feel like Luke Skywalker. I don't know how they convinced Harrison Ford to come in here and do this. Maybe it was a contractual obligation, but even George Lucas isn't credited as a director. That's Steve Binder, I think, who directed this. George Lucas is not even listed as a producer or as a writer. He's only listed here as this is based on his story and his characters, like his stuff, his material. But he didn't have anything to do with this, it seems like. I can't imagine the horror. You think George Lucas was upset when he watched the Disney sequels to his movies, and I'm sure he was. But that can't match what this must have been like. But again, Harrison Ford, he's shockingly not bad too. It's almost like young Harrison Ford, he just can't act bad, no matter how much he probably didn't want to be there. It was still cool to see young Harrison Ford and just a couple snippets that we see of him. Princess Leia, it's always great to see Carrie Fisher, but especially young Carrie Fisher, like them from 78. Like, very cool to get that in any form that I could get them. Darth Vader, he's in here for like 2 scenes, but it's still cool to see Vader, even though, fuck, can you imagine if they had him start to sing or dance or do whatever the fuck? It could have gone there. And I guess there is one thing that you could say is big or impactful or important, even though technically I don't think Lucas acknowledges this as canon, but this does show the introduction of Boba Fett. This is the very first time Boba Fett was introduced in anything. Before he comes in as a bounty hunter in Empire Strikes Back, he arrives here, and it's all in cartoon form, animation form, like this segment, the Boba Fett segment. And I kind of found it interesting that like Luke comes into contact with Boba Fett, and Boba Fett pretends to be a friend, even though he hits that friend word way too often, that like, yeah, Chewbacca was right to be wary of him. But I like how like he tricked them, and it was like, oh, now we know that guy's bad. Like, it was a whole little thing to it, but maybe if the whole special was about that, and if it was live action, because the animation stuff, the animation of Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, especially like their faces, the long face of Han Solo, it looked nothing like him. It was terrible. I know it's probably cheap. And I know it's really old, but that's still no excuse. This is still Star Wars. What the actual fuck? Again, I could not wait for this to be over. I was dying for it to be over. This was hard. This was hard to watch. God fucking damn it. Damn. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below if you too have seen the Star Wars Holiday Special. I know I said it's free on YouTube, so that might entice you out of curiosity to watch it if you haven't. I'm telling you, don't. It's not worth it. Even the curiosity factor, it's not fucking worth it. I regret now watching this piece of shit. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.